Welcome to For Real I Do, an Eventrix podcast, where we help couples and families make confident decisions for modern Indian weddings. We believe that the best weddings are not created from following trends. They're created by making confident decisions that reflect your story, your traditions, and what matter most to you. Every episode is here to help you cut through the noise, navigate expectations, avoid unnecessary stress, and move forward with clarity so that you can spend less time second guessing and more time enjoying your engagement. So when couples think about entertainment, many immediately think about playlists or favorite songs or a vibe. But in reality, it's a lot bigger than that. The people behind the microphone and behind the DJ booth are often the heartbeat of the celebration. And their influence, energy, timing, guest engagement is really how these events come together seamlessly. So today we are talking with two pros who approach entertainment from, I feel, very different perspective, but I feel like have very common goals, which is to create experiences that people will remember long after the event ends. So I want to welcome Nihal Singh, who's a live performer and artist, and Raj Minocha, who's his second time being with me, DJ and entertainment extraordinaire. So thank you both for joining me.
It's an honor. It's always an honor
Thank
to work
you.
with
Yes,
you on the
it
podcast
is
with you.
100% always an honor to work with you, Brittany, and to be able to talk to you right now. Thank you for having us.
I'm so pumped about this conversation. I know Raj was busy having another baby, and Nehal, obviously, you travel the world on a pretty regular basis. So we collaborated calendars and we got a date. So I'm excited.
It happened. We're excited. We're excited.
So I want to sort of open up with a kind of a random question, which is, what do you feel like is one misconception that couples have about what both of you actually do?
You want to start first, Rod?
I'm an open book, right? A lot of couples think we're magicians. So it's like, yeah, we're going to come in and rock the hell out of your wedding. I can guarantee you that. I can make people dance. The DJs in our company can make people dance. Nihal can make people dance literally with one beat. But sometimes the audience has to just be willing to dance. They have to be willing to rock. Yeah, but some people are like, we want you to pull a bunny out of your hat. We're not magicians either. So I don't know if that makes too much sense, but there's a lot more expectations nowadays, of course, with weddings.
Yeah.
Not just DJ, but a production company. So, but yeah, a lot of people think we're magicians and we can pull things out of thin air that are not realistic or possible. But I'm an open book. I'll tell the bride and groom straight up, hey, look, it's not possible. It's not doable. It's not doable. Like what you're imagining,
Yeah.
imagining this at your own wedding. This wouldn't happen. So I can definitely elaborate on that, but I'll let Nahal take it from there.
No, I mean, I'll second you. I'll second you on that, bro. I think that sometimes we're expected to deliver, and not that we don't, but it's every time we come, we do our best, and we do the most we can possibly do to make the experience incredible. But sometimes you're right. Like sometimes it's more so the bride and grooms want to have fun, but it's like a lot of their parents, friends, or a lot of their families and little kids, and sometimes it's the vibe that they envision in their head is not necessarily what gets delivered, but then a lot of times it is what gets delivered, right? It's like it's a hit or miss. But I think going back off of what you said, we're not magicians. We're talented, we know what we're doing, but it takes a certain, the crowd has to also reciprocate that energy, because then we feed right back off of them, right?
100%. If the energy is not there from the audience, we can sit there and rock. You can rock the hell out of a drum. I can rock the hell out of music. But if the crowd's not reciprocating, then there has to be back and forth.
Yeah.
I can throw a song out there. If the crowd's rocking, we're going to keep going. And if the crowd is looking at you like, I would just say to all bride and grooms, to all people on the dance floor, whether we're the DJs or the drummers or the percussionist, just trust the process. Just trust the talent that is hired. And we'll take it from there. Just give us a vibe that you want, and we'll take it from there. I can guarantee you that. And
honestly, yeah, my best experiences have been where they give us the creative freedom to just do us, right? Let us come in, let us read the room, let us get on that stage and figure out what the best thing to do is in the right moment. Versus sometimes when we're given a little bit too much direction, it can sway our thought process when we're performing, right? So the best is creative freedom. Even every time I play with Rod, it's like we know each other's brain, like, and so well. I know what songs he's about to play before he even plays it, right? So we have that chemistry, and I think that's the biggest thing, is the chemistry, and you don't want anything to disrupt that chemistry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, you guys literally hit it because I had a whole topic about reading the room. So I'm genuinely very curious, just like why we're chatting about that. Like, do you both go into an event? Like, you've obviously had maybe like a, pre event meeting with your couple. Do you go into an event and like, do you sometimes feel confined to like stick to the script per se, as opposed to like when you get on site and you are reading the energy, you're like, okay, like, I need to now sort of adjust what I initially came into with a plan. And like, how do you pivot from that?
So, I mean, a bride and groom can provide us lists, especially for Indian weddings, as you know, there's multiple days. So it's like, for the Sangeet or for the welcome party, I want this vibe. For the Sangeet, I want this vibe. And then for the reception, I want this vibe. But then just because those visions were given for each day or for each event, but the crowd's not caring for that vibe, then we got to switch. We got to do what we got to do to get the crowd moving. That's the end goal is the same. People got to be dancing. And if the day one vibe was like, oh, let's keep it more Caribbean, Latin, and no one's rocking to them, we got to go to Bollywood, and they're rocking more to that. What am I going to do? I'm going to play Bollywood. We're going to read the room and see where it takes us. And the reception might be completely different than what the bride and groom imagined. So I tell this to all my couples. I'm like, just like, look, once again, hit us with the Spotify's, hit us with the vision, hit us with the vibes. But
Yeah.
if it's not working, it's out the window. We got to do what we got to do to keep them moving. Because I'm not going to sit there back and be like, hey, yeah, I've been off your list and nobody danced. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. My job, once again, if a bride and groom is flying me out or taking me to an event, whether it's 10 minutes away or 100 miles away or other side of the country, I got to make sure we turn heads. That's the main thing.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that comes
I
into play
think
when you're doing probably like fusion weddings too, right? Because it's like you got completely different sets of the crowd that you're trying to please. And then it's like if one audience outweighs the other audience too, sometimes,
I kind of like fusion weddings. I don't know what your thoughts are, Nihal. I like them because there's just much more genres to play now. And as DJs,
they're
we
my
can
favorite.
kind of,
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I was saying fusion weddings are my absolute favorite because there's one side of whether it's the bride or groom side that sometimes is not necessarily accustomed to like Indian culture. And, especially me as a drummer, the moment I take out the dole, they're like, what is that? What is that? What are those sounds? And they go crazy. And to me, that it makes me so happy to know that we're showing a whole nother side of what we can do to someone who didn't necessarily grow up listening to these beats and hearing these sounds and the music style. And also, like, I think fusion is like the basis of what I do. I think I started off, especially when I do my tabla, like cocktail hours and stuff. It's mainly American music, hip hop, top 40s, house music. So I'm already adding the South Asian flair with the tabla. So I try to stick to more top 40 Western music. So, which is why when I do fusion weddings, I do think that it resonates more with the crowd and it's a different vibe. Like I would love to do more fusion weddings, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot more come. If you ask me, like doing this since 2001, being in the entertainment side since I was 11, and if you ask me back then how many fusion weddings were there, barely any compared to now. Brittany, you can agree. There's a lot more fusion weddings now, and I like it when I see my non-South Asians dancing to Bollywood or Punjabi music, and then my South Asians, my Punjabis, my Gujaratis, my South Indians dancing to completely non-traditional Indian music. So it's like the American dream, I call it. When I see an auntie fist pumping to an Indian auntie fist pumping to EDM, and then Indian uncle dancing to Staying Alive. It's like the best feeling ever. I'm like, all right, we did this. We did. And then, of course, our non-Indian people dancing to our Bollywood music, it just makes it feel right.
yeah.
And going with, like when Nahal said too, just keeping it moving, keeping it happening, I think is definitely something that we both can agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I was also going to share that, I feel at least maybe not so much for the DJ side, but more for like Nihal's, world, if you will. I feel like entertainment sometimes is one of like the last decisions sometimes that couples are making when it comes to like their wedding planning. And yet, in my opinion, it's almost like one of the first things that a guest remembers when you talk about like, hey, how was that event? Or what was that when I mean, do you both think that your role, when you think about your role at an event, like, do you consider yourself entertainers or do you consider yourself more like experience creators? Like, where has that shifted for you since like you started to like where you are actually now? Because I just feel like there's so many more layers to it.
Fair point. I mean, I definitely think our role in a wedding has definitely increased. And I would say, yeah, we are definitely more, I guess what you said, vibe creators, I would say maybe. Because you are right. People do remember us more than they'll remember the food. I mean, if the food is bad, they'll remember it. If the food is good, they won't remember it.
Yeah.
My theory is, yeah, people always remember the music, the entertainment, because that is majority of the event. Think about it. A 5 hour reception, hour and a half of speeches, performances, introduction, waiting. Waiting is definitely a big part of Indian weddings. Unless the event fixes, there's always on top. So I'm not worried.
Yeah.
There's a lot of delays on the Indian weddings, but and then the 3-4 hours, you're looking at open dance floor. So we are majority of the evening.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
I definitely think, we have to make, like I said earlier, we gotta make sure we turn heads. So the importance of having a DJ, importance of having a proper entertainment is definitely crucial. I have a video that him and I shot together for like a promo back in
To see the
2021. We did a style shoot
yeah.
and literally I'm DJing, massive video. Well, actually, I think I show my screen.
Get it up, get it up, get it up right now. Get it up, get it up, get it up right now.
He's right in the front playing the drums.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
This is during COVID.
You remember this?
Can you guys hear this now?
Well, I can see you now. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah.
Raj was just entertaining me while you were gone.
He's on the drums.
This is
And then
pretty cool.
tabla,
How long was this? How long ago was this, bro?
2021.
Wow.
And then he hops on the door. This is what you call, I guess, chemistry.
You know,
Nahal,
Brittany,
is there
believe
like
it.
a drum that you don't play? Any
No,
percussion that you don't play?
I can play. You could throw any
I
drum
didn't
at
know
me,
you
and I'll
play the
play
drum.
it.
That's pretty cool.
I'll play. I'll play anything. Fun story for you, Brittany. Raj actually gave me my first gig in my entire life when I was 15 years old. It was a wedding. It was a baraat. I remember he called me a few days before, and I was just so excited as a kid to like be able to do that. And I remember my parents drove me there. They waited while I like did the gig, and then they took me home, and it was like the most. Do you remember? Raj, do you remember that day?
It was, I remember the time frame. I don't remember the specific gig, but I remember obviously, one of your first few gigs being that Bharat. And then we did that club together in Harrisburg. Remember that?
Yes.
You
Yes.
still had a permit. You still had you had a learner's permit.
I didn't
And
have a
I
license.
picked, we went to Harrisburg. And then on the way home, I didn't feel like driving. And I was 21. So he was able to sit with me. So I was able to sit with him while he drove. So he drove me back home.
16. Raj made me drive. I didn't
I
tell
was
him.
like, I'm tired. You drive. Yeah.
That
Man,
is
that was
pretty
fun.
awesome. The fact that you have that much history with what you're doing. And I mean, Nahal, I think we were just kind of chatting about, I just feel like almost the role and responsibility of what both of you bring to the table with events, I mean, has changed, right? Like gone are the days where you show up, you perform and you're pieced out. I mean, there's so much more preparation and like expectation and deliverance that needs to almost happen now. And, you know, sometimes I do feel like there are through that, in my opinion, I think there are certain clients that absolutely are for you. And then there are certain clients that just most likely are not in alignment. I mean, curious on just where you guys both are in your stages of your career. I mean, obviously, you've been doing this a hot minute. Like, are there specific things that, when you're consulting with clients, are there certain clients that you feel like maybe aren't the best fit? Or what is sort of your ideal couple that you mostly partner with these days?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I think for me, it's very much, I think off the first phone call, we can tell if they actually know about our work in the past or if they've seen us perform before. Basically, someone who gets it, gets our kind of performance style, the music style, versus someone who is new, who's kind of trying to learn about us. Then we have to educate them on what we do, which is also totally fine. But I think it comes back to our original point of whoever gives us the creative freedom. If someone wants to nitpick and really tell us what to do, then that's maybe not the best client for us to go to and be at, because we just want to be able to do us and get on that stage and do what feels right. Because if we're having fun on stage, I guarantee the crowd is having fun. If we're not having fun, they're not having fun.
That's literally fine. I agree.
Mhm.
I mean, if we're not having a good time or if we're not having fun, your guests aren't having a good time either. So if we're having a good time, you better believe your guests are having a damn well good time. And like you said, I'm all about educating a bride and groom that don't know about me or my company and kind of telling them what we do, what we bring different to the table.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I like giving a bride and groom book me or my DJs based on what they've seen in the past.
Hmm.
They know about my past or what they know about what I can bring to the table. Where it's like, yo, I know Raj is great with his hip hop and Punjabi and Bollywood. He can kind of mesh it together. Versus a bride and groom asking me like, hey, can you send me samples of your work? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about sending you samples. But if you don't know who I am or if you don't know who Nihal is, I'm pretty sure First of all, you've been under a rock.
For sure you have been. Yes.
Well, I'm joking about that, but no, we're all about educating. Like Nihal said, we're all about educating the bride and groom and telling them what we can do differently. But it feels good when a bride and groom give you the creative freedom of like, yo, come in, rock the hell of my wedding. We trust your judgment. Here's a couple of songs we want to hear, and we hope you can play those for us. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, in my
Yeah.
opinion, especially as a planner, like there's more people, and even in my field, quite frankly, but there's so many people that I feel like kind of pop up overnight and they're like, I'm a DJ now, or I'm an entertainment person now. And I think that it can just, it's such a saturated market. And I mean, for both of you, I mean, and I'm curious, I'm genuinely curious because my clients, they go off on consultations or what we call like little meet and greets now. I don't even call them consults. I'm like, just meet with them, 15-minute old coffee chat and just see if you both feel like you're a good fit for this particular event or this project or what have you. I mean, are there certain like pieces of advice you would give couples right now that are chatting with DJs or like entertainment professionals that they should be like seriously taking into consideration aside from just what's your price point, right? It's like what should they actually be asking?
I don't even talk about pricing until like you end up liking us as a human being. Because if you don't like me as a human being, then what's the point of me working with us? Right? I can give you the best rate in the world, but if you don't like me or if you don't feel the energy, you don't feel the vibe, then why book us? Right? Just because you want to hit that number doesn't mean anything. What advice I would give to my couples or in general couples, what to talk about or what to do in a meeting or like you said, a meet and greet, which I like that because tell you 15 minutes can really tell you a lot about the DJ and the couple. And just be open. Just be open. Feel free. Don't feel like it's not a corporate meeting. We're not sitting here in Wall Street and trying to sitting with lawyers and stuff. Just be open. We're going to be friends for the next year or more,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
want you to feel comfortable with us. If we're not comfortable with us, and I can't read you guys, and then we're just sitting there trying to figure out who you are. So just be open. And the meetings that I enjoy the most are the ones when the bride and groom are like, very interactive with us. And I'll go up and call myself like, I want that wedding.
Hmm.
I'll be like, I want to do your wedding more than you want me at your wedding. Because I feel the energy. I feel the love coming from them. And I know that we're going to have a great time at the day out. What do you say, Mel?
No, you hit it on the spot, man. It's very give and take. I think if they're kind of learning about us, it's our job as entertainers to learn about them, right? And that just helps with the overall experience. If we know little things, what they like, what they don't like, and it's not just like music related, just their personalities, right? That'll help so much with what we do, how we do it, when we do it. Also, like Raj said, the weddings that we want to do all the weddings, but it's like the ones that you really feel that true connection versus just being a business transaction make the
Hmm.
biggest difference. And my advice for couples would be to build your connection with each vendor. At the end of the day, this is, hopefully the most important day of your life or weekend of your life. And it's very special, right? And us as entertainers, we don't take that for granted. Yes, we get to go to weddings every single weekend and we're kind of, we're carrying ourselves out sometimes and we're doing it consistently, but there's always each performance is always so different. It's never cookie cutter, never like we're doing the same thing, rinse and repeat. Because vibe is different, each couple is different. And I think also Brittany, to your point before, I think yes, a lot of it has become saturated. So many people come out and they want to do their thing. I think that's because they see the glory side of this business. They see like, they're seeing us post online, they're seeing how much fun we have. We get to travel and we're in different countries and different crowds. And that's the glory of it all. But no one sees the hard work that comes behind it. Not sleeping at night, the meetings, the emails, the logistics, the financial aspect of it. That's often overlooked. And I think a lot of people want to be a part of it, but then it's a true hustle. It's a true hustle, and this business is not for everyone, right? It's not for everyone. It's like you really had to have a thick skull. You have to have that hustle mindset because every day is an adventure.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Every day we learn something new as well. I take something I learned at my wedding last year and I put it towards my future weddings. But like, yeah, it's a lot of people see like, shit, I'm a DJ. I'm gonna be cool now. I don't want to be cool. I just want to go rock someone's wedding that like the way I perform. And there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to a wedding.
I will say, I've had the chance now to play at a bunch of like public performances and thousands of people, festivals and stuff. And weddings to me are actually a lot harder than those big concerts because
100%.
you're catering to a smaller group of people that are more to watch. And that's and playing in front of 10,000 people is a lot easier than playing in front of 100 people. I'll tell you that much. A lot easier because I can just do when we're on the big stages, no one's asking you, no one's thinking about, there's no such thing as a song request. You're just doing your thing, and then the small stages come and is the pressure is so much more. I always found that so interesting because I thought, me growing up, I thought it'd be the other way around. Like once I hit the big stages, that's the real pressure, but it's always the weddings.
That's so interesting because I think that's probably why, honestly, there's a lot of like, behind the scenes people, we're trying to now like almost like give a visual representation to everything that goes into preparing for a wedding because it's almost like it's such a non-tangible thing that both of you do that you almost are having to put things on social media or show your preparation or show your travel and show those things to give some more context to the fact that it's so much more than just showing up, and just performing and being done with it. I mean, Raj, quite frankly, I mean, you were with us when we were doing the rig plotting in the room and like where the stage is being set. Like, I think there's a genuine care for where a speaker's being placed, where a chord's being run, what's going to be hidden, what's being shown in front of the client. And I think that that's really, quite frankly, the people that will tend to last in the industry, I would say, because I get a lot of times that clients will reach out and be like, well, my brother's cousins, so and so made this recommendation of this DJ. And I always say, listen, technical skill outweighs chemistry. Because for me, it's check one that you both like each other, but check two is like, can they actually produce on site? Because I've absolutely been in those situations where we have, I call it the yes person. The DJ's like, yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. And then we get on site and it's like, it's a problem. Well, we have a problem, and that's a big part of it too, is like the technical part of it.
But yeah, but yeah, maybe
That's
we walk
huge.
into weddings and whatever we planned has maybe 75% of it changed the day of because of logistical issues at the venue. And what do we
Yeah.
do? We're not gonna be like, no, we're not gonna perform. No, we're gonna figure shit out and get it done. That's half the reason why our bride agents also book us because they know we can get shit done if it's out of the blue.
Yeah,
We're not gonna sit there and tell the bride, hey, this happened. We can't do this. No,
yeah,
get shit done.
yeah.
Yeah. At the end of
I'm
the day, you got to do it no matter what.
curious now from your perspective, like, you really are, I feel, and maybe I don't want to speak for you, but it's almost like how do you guarantee almost like your performance when you're probably dealing with people, I mean, quite frankly, maybe that aren't as talented as Raj or like you're having to like how do you now, like with where you are in your career, deal with, the AV and like the lighting and the production to
Yeah.
sort of
So
all be in line with what you need for your performance?
it's so incredibly important how we're placed at a performance at a wedding, right? How the sound is, how the lighting is, because it directly impacts our performance. And me, I'm speaking from the musician side of things. So my first question every time I jump on a call is, "Who's your DJ?" Right? It's like because that is like 100% going to factor in how my performance is. And for example, if they say the DJ is Raj Minocha, I'm good. I'm good. I have no other questions after that, you know? And for example, me and Raj, we actually went to a site visit last week and we realized that there was so much more involved in that production than we thought it would be, right? They venue kind of told us it's in-house sound and lighting, but it just wasn't going to be what we needed to
Sufficient.
deliver the experience, right? So now we're coming in and we're bring a lot of our own stuff. But I think it's it can make or break the performance. There's only so much I can do as an artist. And there's been times where the music is cut off and the AV is cut on or the power goes out. That's actually where I come in as a drummer to hold it down because I don't need a microphone. I don't need speakers. I can still hold it down, but I can't do that for an hour or 2 hours. I could do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And, there's a lot, even especially when I go internationally, I started touring a lot of like India and Dubai over the last 2 years. And I was really nervous to go because of this reason. I didn't know how the production would be. I didn't know how the sound would be. I didn't know if they'd give me what I need. And there's been gigs where I I 100% feel like I could have done so much better if my microphone just sounded good, or if the speakers just sounded good, or if they were placed a different way, the angle, right? It's there's so many little details to account for, and something I always do is I go right into the middle of the dance floor, and I'm like, if I'm dancing, how loud is it right in the middle? I know there's like a bunch of the speeches and there's so many other factors where you have to hear all over the room. But when I come in, it's for the dance floor. So that's always like my main focal point, especially as an artist and now progressing towards being that like kind of headlining artist where I'm able to bring all my guys with me. I bring about like 3 or 4 dole players next to me now. So it's like we're really loud. It's like how the speakers come and how the mics are tuned is so crucial to our gig where almost like it makes sense for us to just kind of invest in our own audio engineer to just come with us
Mhm.
to hash out these little details versus us doing it on our own.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't agree more because I think that we run sometimes into situations. I mean, I don't know that I've run into this with you, Raj, but it's like if someone's like, I really want Raj to DJ, but it just makes more sense for us economically to like get his equipment, I don't know, sourced locally or like, do you obviously run into that, right? With your travels, you can't like haul your gear everywhere. So it's like, how does all of that play out? And has your rider changed for both of you? I imagine like you probably have a pretty you
So
know, outlined writer.
I mean, I know you do you go everywhere as well at Eventrix. You guys will travel, but obviously Florida is home. And something's coming for Florida. I know we briefly spoke in Arizona. So something is coming. I don't want to say yet when, but maybe by early 2027, we'll have some type of good news for you. But anything on the East Coast right now, we travel, we jump out of New York, right? The truck is going west, east, mainly just up and down, sorry. But anything like west of like Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
we locally source.
Yeah,
For a client to spend that much money on travel with the gear that we can locally source, it's just economical for the couple. I don't want them to waste money on traveling, right? For the gear.
yeah,
For the artist is one thing, but for the gear is one thing. But like I said, riders have changed, things have changed. It's just we try to do whatever we can, not only to make sure we sound good, but also don't break the client's budget.
yeah,
We don't want them to spend triple the amount for no reason, but we also want to make sure we get legitimate stuff. So in a perfect world, and I'm sure Nihal can agree, we would love to just make sure it's always our gear going from New Jersey or New York to whatever state, or obviously it's hard to take out the country, but at least within the United States. But yeah, it's like you said, sound is very crucial. If you cannot hear the speech right, or you can't hear the told the right way, or if I'm playing music and you can't hear it, then what's the point in having us perform?
yeah. And I've worked, obviously in a hall with you and with your crew and having the audio engineer there, especially when it comes to live performances. I mean, anytime we've worked with you or even like live bands or things like that, I almost feel like it's a necessity because if the sound is off, I mean, speaking directly to the couples out there, y'all, if you're hiring live entertainment and the sound is off, you're not going to get the full ROI. You just aren't. It's almost as if you've hired me to come on site for your wedding and it's just me and I don't have any assistants with me. It's like there's only so much that I can actually do and guarantee an outcome for you to a certain extent. So I think that I would definitely encourage couples out there that are considering, hey, if you're going to go in on a guest experience and you're going to really do it right, which I think quite frankly is hard because someone as a planner, like keep in mind, I'm structuring budgets with my clients at the beginning. So I'm like almost like that first person that's almost like first to bat to share with them, like, hey, financially, this is most likely what we need a budget for this item. Every single time I absolutely will have the feedback from parents and families. Well, Brittany, you're over budgeting for this category. This is really high. It's really high. And I'm like, well, it's not just a DJ. We're not just bringing, a drummer. It's there's so much more to it now. And I think that has also become unique in our industry because, people are curious as to why costs keep going up and up and up. But it's like, well, the expectation level has also increased, right? And like, so it's like expectation level, talent, and also just knowing what you need in order to deliver an exceptional experience, which is,
There's a lot more moving parts. I mean, think about it. Between a typical 2-day wedding, there's probably four different rooms where the events are taking place. So gear is more, no more gear is needed. And it's not just plugging in a laptop to a speaker. You need like Nahal said, an audio engineer. You got a video wall. Who's going to control that? Not the DJ.
yeah,
So just like how there's a DJ, there's an MC, there's a lighting engineer, there's a video engineer, there's an audio engineer, and then you have the main backbone of our company, the crew that actually physically sets up. Don't get me wrong, I'll get down and dirty and pick up a speaker. I'll take down wires. Now
I've
I'll
seen
see
it.
you do it. Yeah, you
Hey,
saw it back
hey,
in
hey, hey,
Arizona.
I used to do it for Raj. Tell him the stories.
Yeah,
I used to be
yeah.
one of his when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. I would just
We,
set up
we,
the
we gotta do what we gotta do. We'll tape wires, we'll plug in XLRs. I have no problem doing that. But the thing is, you need an army to make sure everything goes good. Just like where we're at in your team, Brittany, you can't rock up a 300-person wedding yourself. I mean, can we? Yeah. But is it worth it? No. You need moving parts to get stuff done the right way.
And especially when you're like, this is a set by time, this is sound check, doors are this. I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, at some point you're not a robot, right? I'm curious though, from your perspective, like I've written something down I wanted to ask you, which is what's something that couples never notice when production is done well, but immediately notice when it's done poorly?
To me, it's the sound. Like they don't know that they invested all this money into the sound, but if it doesn't sound, that's the first thing they hear. Visually, lighting and stuff, I think is also very important, but I don't know if it's as important as the sound. I think that to me is like the make or break, especially when I'm on stage and the sound doesn't look good. Who are they looking at? They're looking right at me, and I don't have an answer for them. And I feel embarrassed sometimes and I don't want to be looking and blaming my peers either because at that point, you just have to take the blame for it and just do your best in the situation. So for me, it's like sound is good. Everything else I can figure out.
I'll tell you, it's a collaborative effort between not just the DJ, the lighting, it's the core team. Everything has to come together well, right? Now, if the bride and groom walk in when the doors are up for the room reveal and it's not what, something wasn't right. First of all, actually, I'm gonna circle back. Showing up on time is half the job.
Mhm.
Getting everything done on time is half the job. And if you're not done on time, now you already have the bride and groom already have this like tick against you, like, oh, they're not done. What the hell? And they're already kind of now they're gonna literally speculate every single service that you provided. So showing up and getting done way ahead of schedule is half the job. The second half is making sure whatever you did provide is done the right way. So when they walk in the room, you just gotta make it look nice. The lighting has to be pointed the right way. Everything has to be focused. The dance floor has to be nice and clean, no bubbles. The dance floor has to be done on time. And in terms of sound and lighting, when the bride and groom walk in and you have their eyes close to the surprise room reveal, and to hear that bass hitting, the vocals hitting, if Nihal's playing tabla for their grand entrance or for the surprise entrance, they just feel the energy before even their eyes opening. We're in the clear.
Yeah.
And if you're not done and they walk in, and even if you finish 10 minutes after they walk in, there's no point because at that point, no matter how good it is, it's not going to be good enough. So safe
That's
to
an
say,
that's an incredible point, Raj. I think I never really put it into that perspective. Whereas as if, for example, they do see you late, it's just a chain reaction after that, right? They're
mhm,
just gonna have that mental, whatever it is in their head that be like, okay, if they couldn't get that on time, then subconsciously they might not even act like it, but subconsciously it's in their head, you know? Um,
I'm a
wow.
I'm a stickler when it comes to being on time. Personally in life, like if you ask my wife and Nihal and you and me, him and I, whenever we do hang out, we're always probably late. This is the way we like. My wife will be ready and I'll hop in the shower. That's just because that's personal. But when it comes to work and these weddings, timing is very important. If Eventric schedule says 4 p.m. Platinum Roadshow to be ready, my goal is to be done by 3:30 p.m. So when Eventrix does come down and check us all, we're good to go. And then the bride will come in at 5 o'clock for the room reveal. We're all straight chilling versus 5 p.m. You still see me taping down wires and things are not done. Trust me, and then that also affects us. We want to be done and relax before the party starts. We want to kind of hang out, kick it, laugh, eat, do our hair, whatever you got to do to get ready.
I've seen Ron very stressed before doors open. I've seen him like go through that whole mentality, and then I've literally seen him step outside the room, take 5 minutes to himself, come back in, and then just do an incredible job at the wedding, right? And this is like the run we had in what 2017 to 2020. I think I did 2 or 3 weddings with Raj every week, every single week we were together.
We were to get more than that. I mean, obviously, COVID. We did a lot of jobs together. Like during the whole COVID, like when the weddings kicked back off again, when Jersey was allowed to do weddings again. We had a big run. Obviously, even before that, leading up to it, and even now, we have our good amount of gigs together. I know we did last year with Carolina that Friday wedding.
That was fun.
Crowd, super nice bride and groom. They literally booked me Hall and I for, I guess, our chemistry. And I remember when they first
Love chemistry.
no, they loved it. And the funny thing is when they first hit me, they're like, "Have you heard of Nihal?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. I've met him a few
Drive him
times."
around since he had a learner's permit.
And then next thing you know, we both hopped on a call, I think, with them, and we're like, "We go back like more than you probably known your fiance. We go so far back that we like
Well,
you said
we're
earlier, we
we're
each other."
we're family friends before the music stuff, right? Like our parents are friends, our grandparents are friends. That's how we grew up, just knowing each other, and then the kind of working together just kind of flew naturally. I remember, believe it or not, I think Raj he DJ'd one of my cousin's graduation party. I must have been 12 or 13. I brought the dole, and I remember it was at Akbar, bro. I don't know if you remember.
I remember
Number
that.
yeah. brought the door. I remember going to him afterwards. I was like, "Hey, bro, like if you think I'm good enough, you can take me along with you." And I remember saying those words, and back then when I was 12 or 13, that was like a huge. It took a lot of courage to go up to Raj because I looked up, I still do look up to him so much, right? And for me, I don't just look up to him because he's talented. It's because of his IQ, the business sense, the hustle. There's so many factors that go into this business that, like we were talking about before, overlooked, but you need to be able to do it. That's where it comes. Also, sales. I think I learned how to talk to bride and grooms because of Raj. Like I used to be like, yeah, I know. I swear to God, I used to be in the. I used to drive him around. I used to be in the car with him. I used to be at all the gigs.
But yeah, we had a lot of drives together, and I would
No,
just give
We
him
we
calls.
stayed in we stayed in hotel rooms together. We've a lot of flights together. I used to hear his process. I used to hear how he would talk, how within the first 2 minutes of a call, he would make a connection with the bride and groom. And instantly off the bat, it's like, your first 10 minutes, you're not talking about music, you're not talking about pricing, you're not talking about anything financially related. It's all just like, do we have this connection? Are we the right fit for each other? And that's something that I carry up until till today in my approach to talking to couples.
It's funny,
It's
half the calls that we have, I mean, half the calls with some couples are just like not even about music or production. It's about random life stuff. And like, oh yeah, let's rock, let's lock it in. I'm like, I bet. Worked out perfect.
because this is a very, it's an interesting industry because there's really zero barrier to entry. There's no like degrees being passed out to anyone. It really is just about your experience and what you essentially can offer. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're only human. We're obviously gonna on occasionally get things wrong or maybe could have done better, but you live and you learn.
100%.
And Nahal, I'm curious because I mean, I can't have you on this podcast and not talk about Coachella, right? I got to ask you a couple things about Coachella because, like, my whole team was like blowing up at the office, like, "Oh, did you see him perform at Coachella?" Anyway, I'm curious. Like, both of you obviously have had like some pretty serious like milestones throughout starting this. Has it changed like how you choose projects? Has it changed your perspective on things at all, or like? I just feel like sometimes when you reach certain milestones, really in both your careers, does it sort of like simplify your priorities rather than expand them? Or what does that really look like for you?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, thanks for bringing it up. I think playing at something like Coachella is one of the biggest stages as an artist you can play on. And it we found out about a year before we went to Coachella, and just the whole year leading up to it, I remember trying to prepare the set. But then after doing it, we didn't realize the impact it had until weeks and months later. I think when you're there, it's there's a lot going on. There's people in front of you, but then everywhere we went to afterwards, people knew us for playing at Coachella, and I started realizing the impact it had way later. And then did make a difference in our sets. My entire like in my head, I have like this is how post Coachella, and that was now pre Coachella. It's like a milestone thing in terms of now it's actually a lot more simple. Like I know my set, I know how long it is. I know exactly what I'm gonna do, and that's all came from that confidence of like playing at Coachella, and kind of it's almost like a validating fact of like if we could do that, I could do any other stage in the world. So yeah, it's changed the mindset. I think in the moment, I remember like we got on stage and Lady Gaga started on the stage next to us, and so we had a bunch of crowd, but the Coachella crowd, like it's in and out. They're not like there the whole time. So they'll come for like 10, 15 minutes and then they'll move to the next stage. Right. I remember literally watching the crowd and like people are coming in, people are going out, people are coming in, people are going out. But then it had more of an impact on social media and online where I saw like millions of people interact and be like, yo, this was so cool. So that's why I think I didn't realize the impact in the moment, but now I do looking back at it, just over a year now. And yeah, no, it's been an incredible time. That to me, I'll always hold that near and dear to my heart. And hopefully we can just keep doing it bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredibly impressive. And I think if anything, it just goes to show that, when you bring someone like Nahal to your wedding and he performed at Coachella, please don't then give him like a shitty AV team to like his performance, right? I mean, it's a big reason as to why you're able to perform the way you are, I think, and give it like everything it can provide. It was such a cool performance. I mean, I'm a huge fan too, so I thought it was really
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It all stems back to like you're saying, the AV production is so important. It literally makes or breaks our set. It's funny. I remember joking with Raj the year before we played at Coachella. Like, hey, bro, we're gonna go do Coachella, and Raj was like, no way, and I was like, bro, I'm just kidding. But then the next year we ended up actually going to Coachella, and I think it was cool, man. And that was my first time ever attending a music festival in my life, and we were performing at it. So I got to like go see the ins and outs. We were in the green room, so like every artist was in the same area. So we just like Travis Scott's walking by, and we're seeing all these artists just walk by us. Justin Bieber was there just floating around, and I was like, whoa, I think I grew up playing at weddings, and then I got to see this kind of public festival side, and now I want to bring that vibe back to the weddings. That's what I'm trying to do now with like this like headlining set with the act, with the energy, with the lighting, like everything I learned from doing the concerts, I want to bring to the wedding stage and bring that similar experience for our couples. So that's the whole vibe right now.
I think that's so cool. I really love that because I do feel like sometimes there needs to be like a fresh perspective, especially for receptions. And I will say, Raj, when we were working this last wedding in Arizona together, swear to God, and I'm not just giving you flowers, but like my whole team was like, how many, like, you just brought such a robust team and just like really, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I know that you were friends with the family and things like that, but it was just such a different, like, level, like an up tier, you know what I mean? Of even what I've seen you do in the past.
If I can have that same team, I mean, this is like a normal weekend for us, but if I can have that same team or team like that at every wedding, I would be the happiest DJ ever. Because I had, specific people handling specific things. Like, my lighting tech was handling, Harsh was handling the lighting part of the evening. Kunal was handling that whole 11 o'clock thing. And he took over after that and kind of made that happen. And MC Parvez, he did his thing with whatever he does. So it was just kind of, gave me creative freedom to kind of be like, all right, cool. Everything is delegated. Everyone knows their jobs. Let's rock. That's it. Let's give this family, let's give this bride and groom what they imagined. And I think what they imagined times 10 is what actually happened.
Yeah.
And I think they would, I think we went overtime like by like an hour. And normally I'm just like, all right, we're done. I was like, no, it's fine. Let it go. They're rocking. I was having a good time.
Yeah. And I love that because you can tell, I mean, from both of you even sharing, I mean, it's like, I love how passionate both of you are about this industry. Like, you can tell that, like, at the end of the day, of course, we all have to like make a paycheck at but you can just tell, at least for me as a planner being in this industry for a long time, you can just tell people who they're doing it because they're really passionate about it and they love it. And to me, that's such a differentiator because when you have a person that really cares and is invested in the experience, it really is just going to show. And I think that just goes back to originally what we were saying about trust your artist, trust the process, and know that at the end of the day, they really are there to just deliver the most exceptional experience that they can overall.
You got to think of it this way. Right? We're literally dedicating our lives to this industry. Our weekends are for our bride and grooms. We can't attend our cousin's graduation party in our June because we're
Yeah, no
rocking.
birthdays, no
You know,
birthdays, or no
so
holidays, none of that stuff.
when we get our bookings and we like to, for just like your heart, like to get on it, just like over at your team, Brittany, we all want to get our bookings so we can make sure all the dates that we have to be with our families are covered. But there's certain holidays and certain birthdays that I will say no to work. At the same time, all my other weekends, we're dedicating our whole lives to our families, to our couples, to our clients, and at that point, I'm like, all right, we're here. Let's give them our 110%.
Yeah.
Let's give them that to get that dedication. Forget the numbers for a second. If you're gonna do work, you gotta do it the right way. What's the point of working? That's my theory in life. So we're gonna go in. He's gonna bang that drum. I'm gonna play that music. We're gonna make him dance.
Yeah.
I do think
Yeah.
that's incredibly important for couples to look for. I think it's like, for example, if they decide to extend their wedding 30 minutes, is you want someone who's just going to be all about it. Like, yes, let's keep the party going because this vibe is amazing. Um, versus being a bit more nitpicky on timings, et cetera, et cetera. Like you're talking about Arizona, and I can just feel the vibe from the call, right? Like I think like goes back to the first thing we said on the call. Like we reciprocate off their vibe. And if they're delivering it right back to us, Raj is going to perform even better, right? His confidence is going to get even higher and higher throughout the night if everything he's doing is being reciprocated and they're just dancing to it and it just keeps coming back to him. I think even on my end, I think that's so important. Confidence for us, putting ourselves in the right room to be confident, to deliver that experience is incredibly important. Sometimes I'm nervous before every single set. People think now people probably think Raj is not. I'm nervous. I am
Yeah.
sitting there thinking really hard. I'm trying to analyze. I'm trying to read the room before I even get on stage. It's like, what am I about to do? But then the moment you get on there and you see one person enjoying what you're doing.
Nervous is definitely something. Being nervous is definitely real. Like I can probably have like 1,000 weddings on my belt. I can walk into a wedding this weekend I will be nervous. But once we like get that dance floor going, all goes. Like, this is what we do. This is natural for us. But and if you're nervous, it's funny how we still get nervous.
It's because I think I get nervous before weddings too, even though if I've like planned every little detail. I mean, I'll lay awake at night sometimes be like, "I tell that person this one thing," because at the end of the day, I think it's just you just care. You genuinely want them to have an exceptional experience. It's just about so much more than, I don't know, what's in my contract. It's so much more than that. When you're a partner and you're a participant in somebody's function, you're pretty much all in it, right? I mean, that's just how it is. But I could keep y'all all day, obviously, but I just want to ask you a rapid fire question. And then if there's anything else, please let me know. But I'm curious about if you have a favorite crowd moment to date.
So there's this, there's I don't know how proud moment, but there's a certain part of every reception that parties rock and it's going. So will be, and then there'll be a certain point in the night. I don't know how, I don't know why. I think maybe this is maybe when Nihal and I perform together because the chemistry is there, and the word chemistry really, it's very important. And it'll just go from already 100%, they're rocking, but it would 150. And it's like at that point, you're like, shit, this is a real turn up. And at that point, from like the next 2 hours, it's like a rager. And there's a wedding that comes to mind now. I don't know if you remember this. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was at the Grove a
I
couple years
remember
ago. Yeah, the snap video that you made.
yeah, I
And
remember.
it was a Friday. It was during COVID, like the end of COVID, where weddings were opening back up.
Hmm.
Probably like the first 300-person wedding after a very long time, and everyone was ready to party anyways because everyone was cooped up at home. But the party started. Party was rocking, but it was a Friday, so people were coming from work, so they were taking a little long to get drunk. And remember, that plays a big factor in our job. We got to make sure they're pretty lit, right?
Sure.
And then they're rocking, and I was also a little, I guess the word stressed. We all get that way, and I was like, I don't know who I told you, give me 2 glasses of water. I took my water. I don't drink on the job, and drank my water. And next thing you know, Nihal hopped on the drum, and bam, it went from 100% to 200%. Till this day, probably one of my best weddings, not because of production, not because of how many lights they had. It's just the energy that the crowd brought.
Energy.
Yeah, I don't care about, and when people ask me, oh, what was your favorite wedding? Or I'll be like, when I say big wedding, I don't care about guest count. You can give me 5 people, I'll make them dance. But it's the energy that they get, and we'll take them to the moon.
Oh, I remember that, bro. I remember that. I just remember like after that first hour, just consistent build up to the point where Raj could have done anything. He could have took out his phone and played a song from Spotify on his phone, and they would have gone crazy. Like he got him to that point. We got him to that point where they were like just reciprocating with everything we were doing. And I think attesting to your point, I've been like that was one of my favorites. Some of my other favorites have been actually very small weddings. Believe it or not, like very, I guess lower budget, smaller rooms, but just what makes it for me is the vibe in the room. There was so much love. They were just dancing. Actually, I'm talking about a wedding at Imperial Raj where Chad was DJing.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, it's funny.
one of
I've been to
Raj's
this
guys,
pretty well.
and I played dole there, and oh my god, it was like that's in my head. That's top 5, and I've played like I've been able to go to some insane weddings, but that to me is like top 5. It was 20 minutes from my house. Just because I remember like every little thing I was doing, they were just cheering and going crazy. And that's like an adrenaline rush. That's a high that I can't explain, right? We can't explain it. And then it's something that as an artist, you want to experience at every single show. It's like, how do we get to that point every show? But yeah,
Gotta keep hydrated. And then of course,
drink 2 glasses of water.
2 glasses of water. I remember
Water, go outside for 5 minutes, breathe in some
I
fresh
didn't even
air.
think I was like, just give me
Yeah.
2 glasses of water with a straw. I was like, just drank it. I rocked. I was like, listen, I just need water I think I asked 2 glasses of water with a lemon. Bam.
That's what
I
it
think
is.
I might have been the one that got it for him too.
That's my fuel. That's it. Water and lemon, or lime water or lemon water.
Yeah. But
How
Brittany,
some of your favorite experiences are for sure, like, not necessarily, I mean, of course, big sets are cool, right? But it's fun that sometimes it really is just the crowd and the room and, like, where you're at and all those good things too that make it.
yeah. I will say on the planning side, Brittany, I wanted to ask you, like, is that what necessary do you guys look for in terms of like when it comes to entertainment? Like, are you talking about the vibes or is it more technical based or like how does
Yeah.
it work?
Great question. I think for me, it's always been that I'm an actions person. So you can tell me all day that you're going to be this, this, and this. But if I get on site and you're a diva or you're not on schedule or you're kind of just, you don't even know what the timeline is or what room you're in, or I just don't do well, I guess, with divas, I'll say, because at the end of the day, we are all in the trenches together when we are working these events. And I just I think as a planner for me, I work really well with people who, are, how do I say, we're not in competition together. No one is better than the other person. We are here to work as a collaborative team to just show up and make it the best that we can. That's why I've like, even if my girls are like making I don't know, as simple as like they're making a Starbucks run, I'm like, what do you need? Do you need coffee? Do you need this? Like, I just genuinely, it's like, I don't know. I don't come with maybe that level of ego, maybe. And I just think that people who can let the ego go, and Nahal, I think quite frankly, you're a testament to this. I mean, you could totally have an ego having played on Coachella if you really wanted to, but you don't exhibit that in any capacity. And I think that you're always very humble. And I think that you treat each project like essentially it's your first. And I think that you genuinely really care about the projects you take on. You both do, which is obviously why we recommend you to our clients and we continue to, because it's one less thing on site that we have to worry about. We just know that you're gonna deliver, and you're gonna deliver it without the big ego and the deepness tied to it, because I've had that too.
Because that only causes problems. I've been with wedding coordinators or certain vendors that have this like ego, and it's like, dude, chill. Like, we're in this together. We're here for the couple. This is rock this wedding. That's the key word. Rock this wedding, man. Vibes,
Yeah.
vibes, vibes. I can say that. I say that
Right.
to
I,
'Cause it's like,
no,
if we all disappear kind of a little bit into this world of weddings, which is not reality. And then come Monday, it's like, I'm at carpool, I don't know what you're doing, but it's like, I'm doing the free list Instacart on the way home. I don't
This
know.
past Saturday, I had my first Saturday off in months. Even with the with the new baby, it was funny. Like my first Saturday off in months, and it was my daughter's recital, and my phone died, and she was number 4, and there was 20 groups performing, and my phone's dead, and I'm like, "What is going on? What am I? Where am I? I'm not at the Hyatt right now. I'm not at the Hilton. I'm
Yeah.
at a auditorium watching this dance performance." So I'm saying there's no room for egos. We're out here together, and
yeah,
Mondays, like you said, carpools, daycare drop-offs,
yeah.
we're all human.
Being humble is very important. I think it's very easy to it would be very easy to, I guess, want to put yourself on a pedestal, right? But like that doesn't exist, right? It's like, that saying, like, you're only as good as your last performance, right? I'm I never sometimes I never agreed with that, but it's starting to make more and more sense to me every day, because we have to put ourselves in a position, and we have to put ourselves in our bride and groom's position, that this it's all about them, right? This whole experience that we're trying to create is for them, it's for their families, it's for their guests. We want to deliver each and every time. I think it's also like I get incredibly inspired when I have so many moms and dads that send me DMs and hit me up like, "Hey, our kids are picking up the instruments after watching your videos and seeing you do what you do." And for me, that's
That's
the
cool.
biggest compliment I can receive. Where it's like if I'm pushing our culture to the future generations, I'm happy. I feel like I did something good. I can play at weddings all I want, but I wanna consistently bring the culture to the next level, to bigger stages, to our future generations. And like my dreams right now are like, how do I be like the first Go player to ever play at like Live Miami or Space Miami or in Vegas or do a residency there? Like, these are the thoughts in my head. Brittany helped me make it happen.
But I know, so
But like,
cool.
these are the thoughts where it's like, how do we continue to advance the culture? How do we show the
Yeah.
world this instrument. Like if you look at these major nightclubs, like they have drummers, they have djembe players, very like mainstream instruments, but dole is still not there. And I want to bring it there. And then also keep tying those vibes back into our private gigs with the weddings.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the goal.
you're absolutely right. I mean,
You said
not
it
only
here on the vision board. I think it's gonna happen.
like the house, it's not even about it. Yeah, it's about the weddings as well, but it's also the cultural thing, right? Because for the younger kids that like he said that see him play dole or pick up an instrument from our culture. Same thing about the music, you know. Gotta we are like the face of our culture as well. We got to keep that social image as well and kind of show them that there's no room for ego. We all want you to kind of take our culture to the next level, whether it's through a drum or whether it's through an instrument, whether it's through the music. And if you had that ego, you had that facade up that knows you can't be approachable, then what are you really doing? You're just out collecting a paycheck. Once again, don't get me wrong. That is half, like that's not half, but like that is part of the business. But it's about the future generation as well. We want to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I really do love just like both of you in terms of your approach and even how you both work together. I think there's just something to be said about somebody who's been doing this as long as you both have and has performed, quite frankly, all over the world and understanding that the ego is not something that is developed over time, but it's something that, you got to work on. You got to, because, I'm a big believer for sure that you're only as good as your last event. And that's not to say that that's putting you down in a way, but it's just saying to keep you humble and to keep you understanding that you have to be present in the moment that you're in. Shoot for the stars, but be present in the moment that you're in and always deliver, the experience they can. But I appreciate both y'all's time today. Thank you so much for like your knowledge. And I think it's going to be really helpful. I hope for couples that are out there that are just like talking about entertainment, talking about the evolution of guest experiences and how that's going to just intertwine and supporting them, elevating their events in the future. So thank you seriously for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Gonna tell couples to keep pairing Nihal and me to it. That's it. If you want a true party, pair us together. It
The
won't be
dream.
this. But this is
Honest to God.
this is the original drink.
Yeah, yeah. No, thanks. Honestly, Brittany, thanks for doing this. Thanks for having it. It's actually, I guess we get so caught up in the business where it's sometimes we don't take the time to sit back and take an hour and just reflect on why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it and the little bits of it that make the biggest difference for us. So this was really refreshing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks, y'all.